Yeah. Okay, good. 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 Okay, that's fine. Yeah. Yep, perfect. Onegaishimasu.
Onegaishimasu.
Very good. Do you want to start loosening up? Just find that bit of a bounce in the body. And take a little bit into swing front and back. And taking it side to side. And into a rotation. And taking a little bit inside and outside. Maya, hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm working afternoons this week.
Yeah, just taking it into a nice deep breath in, reaching up, bit of a butt, but back, bend, and punching down, all the way down. Breathing out. Yeah, just coming up, rolling the shoulders up to the back. And roll forwards. You know, alternating, rolling back. Taking the arms nice big circles, alternating back. Yeah, and rolling through the hips one way. Changing direction. Bringing the feet together, surfing around the knees. And changing direction. just hinging the knees down and away. Just a bit of pressure out with the arms, settle into the hips. Add a little bit of a press out and a press in with the legs. And then just play with mobilizing the knees towards the ground. One and the other. Just use the hands as much as you need to. You can also bring the hands to the back. Just open out a bit deeper. Pressing the weight into the hands. Let the feet come up wide. Hands just level with the chest. Length through the back of the legs. And then it's comfortable, just start to hinge down with the hip, drawing the head towards the ground. And down onto the forearms if it's comfortable. If that position's fine, just take the hands around the back, link them together, stretch up open into the shoulders. Take a couple of big deep breaths and mobilize in the position. And releasing the hands, walking the hands out, keep the hips back. Let the head just come between the shoulders. Pressing the weight into the hands, walk the feet together at the back. And just slowly lengthening down the legs, pressing the heels down. And then pressing both heels down, lift the hips up, push into the hands. And walking the hands and feet together. Take it into a forward fold. And nice and slowly, starting to come to standing. And that's when it's taken to a wide full stance position. Drop the hips low, hands on the knees, lengthen up through the spine, and then just start to rotate, looking over the shoulders. Take your time with it. Take a nice deep breath as you do it. Reaching down, same side ankle, and then reach up with the hands, sit the hips a little bit lower, reach right into the ceiling. Check. Take it to the other side. Slowly release it. Press back a bit. Come back up to standing. Pick out the wrist a little bit. And release into the arm. Pick out the legs a little bit. And planting the feet down, shake that whole body. And just letting all the weight sink into the ground, soften through all the joints. And just make the move a little bit smaller at the top. And find an impulse in the center. The head, fingers and toes. Okie dokie, great. Take Joe, we will continue with this yesterday. So we were doing some turning movements yesterday. We'll do some of the a little bit simpler, and they involve really working the hips. So the ones we were doing yesterday were feet together and rotating through. These are hip width with the feet, and the first one's just playing with, again, we'll do the same movements we were doing, play with a little bit less extension through the arm in this case. So yesterday we were working really with strong extension here. Focus now on, again, strong grip, but a little bit closer, and just allow the elbows just pulse in and out of the body. Just going to come into contact, pulse in and out, and think about the hip adding a little bit of movement to it as well. So very subtle movement, not a big kind of kick out with the hip, but just a subtle pressure from the hip, and feel that the hip's also pulling the arm back. Okay, so the focus is with that soft extension, just letting the hip control it, and there's a kind of release into the ground through the foot all the time. A little bit softer, but keeping a strong grip with it. Stronger grip as you can. Once you're comfortable with it, just start to let the elbow fully extend out, back into the body. And the key is to work with the hip to engage in and out of the body. Good. And then just taking to the other side. Same thing, just find that first position. Just allow the elbows to softly touch the body, come out. Again, trying to fire the hip. Allow it to pulse the elbow out, back. And again, working with a strong grip as you can. Release it to the ground. You've got that feeling, just take it a little bit further out. And then the next one's just a switch. In this case, the switch is really simple. You just little fingers together at the center line and then going out to the other side. And again, trying to get the hip to pull and then go, pull and go, pull and go. You want the transition of the hands to be nice and smooth and a little bit softer than the ones yesterday. Again, focus a little bit more on the whole body movement, working from the hip. And then the next one's just a switch. In this case, the switch is really simple. You just little fingers together at the center line and then going out to the other side. And again, trying to get the hip to pull and go, pull and go. You want the transition of the hands to be nice and smooth and a little bit softer than the ones yesterday. Again, focus a little bit more on the whole body movement, working from the hip. Perfect. Next one's just taking to a figure of 8, just one side for now. Again, a little bit closer to the body in terms of what we were doing yesterday, kind of extending out. Keep it close, and again, think about the hip work rolling through. And in this case, what you're training is also the opposite hip to control this side of the movement. So this hip going, yeah, this hip going, yeah. You're really creating that figure of 8 motion in the hip work. And the jaw, the arm, everything's following that motion. Useful as you start to on these, really have a sense of a focus forward, really strong focal point. In this case, just think of kayak in the sea. I'm just going to let the head center onto it, and then let the work of the hip and the jaw roll around that. The danger of this is you start to go into this kind of pattern. You have the sense of the body centering. The jaw rolls around the body. And then switching the arm. Stronger grip as you can for as long as you can in the movement. There is a point where you probably feel you need to release the grip. As long as you can, keep a stronger grip possible. And it's the same hand transition you should do at the side of the body. So you're shifting at the side. And then once you've got the handwork going, focus forward. Let the hips do the work. And let the hands be light and just follow. And once you're comfortable with it, just take this to a speed which feels comfortable. Make it a little bit faster. And the key is the hip is going to drive everything. Tendency now is for the arms to start to speed up and the body's left behind. Keep the hips driving. That's it. Great. And then we'll just take this, not stepping, just shifting the weight. So as you do it, just play with the ability to shift the weight. Just side to side. Again, important that the body doesn't start to kind of list and twist. Think about centering down, and you're just going to allow the hip and the center just to find one foot a little bit more than the other. There's just a shift of the weight. So you're going from what was before kind of 50-50 and playing with shifting, probably like 60-40, maybe 70-30. Just kind of roll around and just notice where you're going in the foot. So notice how the knees falling towards the foot, what the angle of the weight is in the foot. Is it dropping more towards the heel, the toes? Is it going to the outside, inside of the foot? Just feel it on that level where the weight's being pressed into the foot. And just look for a really solid connection with the hip. And then from there, just start to pick the feet up. So the one that you're centering into, dropping into, obviously the other one's going to start to work. So allow that one to pick up and place. Pick up and place. And you take it now to really walking. But really with a focus on the shift of weight. So you want the feeling the hips are basically just constantly draining down. Arms are doing the same work as before. And the challenge now is to, again, keep the hip free to generate the motion. And very easy now for the legs to start to move and the arms operate solely on their own, independently on their own. So try and get the sense that as you shift, the work is actually also to shift the center, keep the hips free enough to again mobilize through it. And then once you've got that, play with a little bit forward and backwards motion. So again, really nice to do in time in terms of the leg and the hip rolling with the jaw forward and the leg and the hip rolling back into it. So we use these motions all the time in weapon work and in Takemusu as well. So these are really good coordination exercises. And again, the key is letting the arms follow the hip work. Nice grounded balance, spine centered, connecting through the vertical. Easy movement, but nice to do a little bit of focus on these principles. That's so nice. And lastly with this, do be careful with it, obviously in your space, especially if you've got smallish space and you've got fragile things around you, but try it with your eyes closed. If you're a little bit uncomfortable with it, do kind of half closed with the eyes. So you just want to basically drop out of the eyes a little bit and really take the feeling to the core of the body. And again, the connection down with the feet. And just bring your awareness to the tip of the 𝘭 as well. So try and connect through the hands into the tip of the weapon. Really try and feel it in the space you're in. Or yeah, you can do this also static if you're in a kind of smaller space. And again, just doing it with the eyes closed, coming back to stillness. But then just get a real sense, very clear sense of where the 𝘭 is in space, both ends of the weapon. Move around. And if you feel comfortable enough with it and you've got a big enough space, just mobilize a little bit with it. You can either do eyes half closed, fully closed. Right. Yeah. Perfect. Good. Very good. Right. We'll just take this into a little bit of striking work. So yesterday we were looking at the 19th 𝘬𝘓𝑢ri, and we looked at it in a kind of flowing form as well. We'll do a short revision of that one, and then we'll look at the 20 as well. So 19 and 20 are really a set, which go together. But we'll just start again with 19. First few, just play with this, which is really like the first 𝘬𝑢ri. You're pulling to the back into the spine, bringing the feet close together, shifting the weight to the back leg, and then just dropping down. In this case, what I want to play with is going straight into a 𝘥𝘢𝘦𝑚𝑒. So going straight away into a diagonal strike down, but use a big full motion to start it. So you're bringing the 𝘭 to the back, the spine, lengthening up to the top, and then striking in. Key again was that the hip work's going to kind of drive the motion. It's just getting a sense of the 𝘭 being driven from the core of the body, both motions, raising and dropping into the cut. Just a nice, simple start. And just think about kind of weight placement with this. Now, think of the strike really as a kind of releasing. So one of the tendencies, particularly with this, is that we start to kind of brace the body at the end of the movement. So the body's kind of held at the top. Think about, in this case, again, all the focus going to the hip work and driving the weight down into the ground. And then the feeling is the kind of sinking down of the 𝘭 into the ground. So the feeling that you want is really like the 𝘭 really, really trying to look to the ground in the movement. And the problem is if I brace the top of the body, the 𝘭's being kind of held off the ground. So this is later really important for when you're going into the rotation work. You're going to use that kind of drive the 𝘭 down. But just get this sense in here that you're just releasing to the ground. Releasing to the ground. So it's a kind of bottom heavy movement rather than a top heavy movement. There we go. Got it. Okay. So 19 also works on the left side. So we'll just do a little bit on the left. Same motion to start, starting with the left side. Cross the hands over, so your right hand still forward. Draw to the back, and then again, drop into your 𝘥𝘢𝘴 this way. So you're pulling to the back same way, and then dropping into the 𝘥𝘢𝘴. And again, just get that sense again, you're dropping into the ground. The Joe's really looking for the ground, the movement. And you touch into the back, you rock into the 𝘥𝘠𝘦𝘢. Hips are nice, mobile. Nice and mobile. Remove this, got a shadow. Let's go that way. There we go. Good. Just a nice simple left side of your 𝘠𝘠𝘢. Good. Good. And then just taking it to a little bit of Zengo, but working with the 𝘥𝘠𝘢 as you come down. So raise up to the top on the first one, cutting into 𝘥𝘠𝘢, raise up to the top of the head in this case, and then just go into the rotation. So the focus now is on the weight placement through the rotation, sinking into the foot, settling the back foot, and then using it as your anchor into the move. And settling each time 50-50. 50-50. So you've got a nice compression pattern through the feet, shifting, placing, settling. Shifting, placing, settling. And again, each cut's going to be a little bit more than 𝘥𝘠𝘢. Don't worry too much about rotating in 180 degrees, just really about the change of the feet and starting to initiate into a little bit of rotation work. Yep. Great. The other thing to focus on this with this movement is, again, it follows this kind of same thing of releasing. Think about the top motion or the rotation movement and the raise. Try and make it as light as possible. So you're also going to make the grip work really light. So you've got to really contrast between the grip in the striking position. And then as you go into movement, think about releasing, softening, 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 and then back into the strike, full grip into it. So there's a real clear contrast between the striking pattern of the grip and the raising and cutting down with it. It's really nice to do with a light stick. This is a good one to actually work with a lighter stick, because then you can really focus on just that release and just the kind of necessary control of the grip. And you want to basically make it as soft as you can, as fluid as you can. And the Joe should feel super light, which is helpful when it is very light. But that's great. Nice. Got it. And very last point, think about an engagement of the hips all the time through the movement. So one tendency with this is to rotate, set the hip, and then do the strike with the arm. So think about doing something again where the hip's going to initiate the motion, and think about driving the hip into the strike. So you mobilize the hips all the way down into the movement. So you want the hips really operating, controlling the whole motion. But the first thing is just feel that they're mobilizing through it. If you can mobilize them through that whole motion, you can start to allow them to take charge in the motion. So it stops being a hand-dominated movement, an arm-dominated movement. It really then goes to something a little bit deeply connected to the back, the ground. And the more the hips are motivating the movement, actually the softer the movement can be in terms of the body, the heavier that is. Yeah. Good. Good. Great. So we'll start to work with, again, going into 19. We'll do a quick revision of it. So in this case, you start with the right foot forward. You're going to raise to the back, take a step, raise the jaw up to the top of the head, around about 45 degrees, coming forward with the right foot into the strike. You're rotating to the back, opening the grip up. You're in that lock position at the top of the head. And then from here, you're stepping through with the right side, striking with the second yokomen. The form is the full back raise. Step through, strike yokomen. Rotate to the back, locking up high. And then final yokomen on the right side. Just want to take your time with it. 4 clear moves, raise, cut, rotate, block, and strike again. And in Japanese, this is hidari nagara gaishi uchi, left rotating strike, left rotating turning striking movement. Hidari nagara gaishi uchi. Very good. Got it. Got it. Good. Great. Good. Right. Yeah, and always useful. Think about opposing directions in this case and filling the opposing direction that you're going in. So the first one is this top position, the raise. So the tendency is to kind of go with the raise and let the body pull up. So as you're doing this motion up, think about the main motion that you're doing is the raise. Think about the opposite direction in this case. So really sweep the body low in that movement. The second one is you're really going forward with the motion. So the tendency is to be pulled forward with the strike. And again, think about filling the back, the opposite side of that motion. So the back's full and the back leg's really strong in that position. Rotating, and in this case, you're going up high. At the same time, sink low with this motion. Again, easy to get pulled forward, pulled up. Think about really the opposite direction, in that case, the back and the down. And then from that position, again, you're going forward. Think about filling that back direction. So think about, especially as you do particularly the raising motions, the forward striking motions, think about the opposite direction to which you're being kind of pulled with the jaw. And try and fill that direction. It's generally going to be filling the back and filling the down direction. And it just depends on the motion which needs a bit more attention. And those static positions just give you a chance to kind of feel where you are in the body. Recenter, rebalance if you need to. Great. 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 Okay, so that's 19 in a basic form. We'll look at 20 in a basic form as well. So this one, it goes to the opposite side and same beginning right side, but you're going to have straight away into a left side, you're coming around. So rather than a kind of straight up and down movement, in this case, circular, coming around the back of the head with the tip of the weapon and then striking down on the left side. That's the first one. Just look at that one. But yeah, you're just rolling the center over, tip goes around, striking nice and strong on the left side. So the first one's right side, 19's right side, 20's left side beginning that way. Just a nice simple yokomen step forward. Great. Very good. Easy, easy. Good. And then we go into a rotation. This one's a little bit of a bigger rotation. So the last one was just kind of rotate on the spot. In this case, use the left foot as the base for the movement. Left hand releases, and then you're going up to the top again in a block position this way. But the rotation now is going to take that right leg back around into the movement this way. So it's a little bit of a bigger rotation. The setup is now to go again into a block. You strike on the left side, release the left hand as you rotate over to the right side of the body, and then you're coming again into that high block position. So just play with that a little bit. You go left side, yokomen, rotating like a tenkan movement. So you're pivoting on the left foot, stepping the right leg back, Got it. Good, got it. And there's just one difference, just the setup with the handwork. So when we do the other one, you keep the right hand on the weapon, you find this position. Because I'm going to transition to a strike, I don't adjust the right hand because it's in the perfect position to go into the striking movement. With this one, because the intention is to go into a ski, as you rotate around, the right hand is going to shift to the back of the weapon. You find the back end of the weapon as you do it. The block position's the same. You're in that kind of 45-degree position, angled up at the top. And then from here, you've got the hand right at the back. You just enter straight into a ski on the left side. So it's a left side 𝘥𝘠𝘢𝑚𝑒n and a left side ski in this case. But yeah, it's just important to switch through the rotation. You're switching the grip and allowing yourself to settle into the end of the weapon. By the time I finish the rotation, I should be at the end of the joke. And then just straight away, you're able to make the ski on the left side. So this is 𝘭𝘰𝘦𝘦𝘥 ski. So right side, rotating, flowing with a ski at the end. Right side, flowing. I can't see a thing. Got it. Yeah. Right. Right. Good. Okay, and then get 19 and 20, the flowing motions. And the other way you can train with them is linking them together. So they flow really nicely together. So we'll start with 19 and then lead into 20. Wrong end again. So you go into 19 raises up to the top. We did before, striking with 𝘥𝘠𝘢𝑚𝑒n on the right side, rotating to the back, looking, striking on the right side again with 𝘥𝘠𝘢𝑚𝑒n, and then you lead straight into 20. Left side 𝘥𝘠𝘢𝑚𝑒n, rotate to the back, shift the grip position, finish with a ski, and then just come back into a my position. Going up 1, striking 𝘥𝘠𝘢𝑚𝑒n 2, rotating to that 3, striking 𝘥𝘠𝘢𝑚𝑒n 5, 𝘥𝘠𝘢𝑚𝑒n on the left side, 6, rotating, adjusting the hand, and 7 with the ski. Just a nice short kata series for the 𝘧𝗔𝗞𝗘𝗠𝗠𝗨. Right. Okay, good. So there's a way to take this into a flowing form, and there's lots of kind of technical steps with it. In a lot of cases, that the main idea is to kind of flow through the block position and straight away into the strike. But we'll just get a practice we were looking at the end of yesterday, just to kind of center the body. And again, it's focusing on the core of the body and trying to generate a sensation in the tip of the weapon. So just start with the arms quite close to the body, elbows quite tight to the body. Find a right side grip position and just play with the winding motion. So you're trying to set into the feet, let the hips mobilize, knees are soft, And then just keep quite a soft grip in this case. I'm just going to play with a clockwise motion of the 𝘱. So if you look up, it's kind of passing clockwise. But again, the idea is it's not to strangle the weapon and basically try and make it move. It's to just connect the arms into the body and just roll with the hips. So it's more of kind of a releasing movement than anything else. But then you're just going to create a really strong sensation in the core of the body and feel that it's, again, transmitting up into the tip of the weapon. Quite easy when the arms are close to the body. You can keep a soft grip. You can just focus on mobilizing the core of the body. And then from here, without taking it any higher, just play with a little bit more of a kicking motion to it. So it's going to have a little bit more pressure to it. But again, the key is not to try and do it with the arms. It's to try and get the core of the body to be kind of winding. I think of this like you've got the 𝘱 in the ground and you're trying to really kind of stir with the body. So the feeling is that you're really trying to generate emotion with the core of the body rather than go into this kind of feeling. You're trying to go into this kind of feeling. So it's really that the body's driving it and the arms just follow. Again, it's a little bit trickier when you're off the ground with the 𝘱. Then the tendency for the arms start to try and take over. So all you do now is just start to introduce a little bit of a pulse through the hand. So you're just generating a little bit of a focal point through the hand. This is a very subtle ringing of the 𝘱, but it's not so much that you're kind of trying to ring it out. It's that you're trying to just seal the grip. And it's just more work going on the forearm than there is in the hands kind of ringing the 𝘱. Good. And then from there, just play with raising. Keep it nice and play with it gradually. So you don't want to kind of stick the 𝘱 up too high. Just play with gradually raising the arms with it. And again, the key is to keep that sensation of the core. The arms are still quite close to the body. And then play with a soft movement. If you feel you've got the connection with it, just play with a little bit of a stronger connection with it. I've got a guy in front of me fishing, and he's doing the same thing actually, but it's with a fishing motion, so he's casting out with it. But that same idea, creating a really strong sensation with the core. And you just play with slightly raising the 𝘱 a little bit more. Right. Right. Good. Great. Good. And then the tricky position is to do this with extension out. So just play with this. Play with different feet forward, or play with no feet forward, in the case of being like in a shoulder width, and play with that same kind of motion through it. You can also play with this counterclockwise. You'll probably find it easier in this grip to work still clockwise direction with the tip. But again, what you're looking for now is a little bit more extension with the arm, and you're trying to generate this kind of quality again. The hip works are more free now, because the feet can go forward with it, but just play again with softening it. And then the key is not to generate too much movement, but just to generate a connected movement. And again, it's the feeling of the center of the body communicating to the tip of the weapon through the hands. Good. A little bit trickier. If you feel you kind of lose it, come back to this front position. Generate the feeling here. And then let the 𝘱 just start to come out. It should be kind of strong, settled, connected feeling in the core. Core's doing all the work in this case. Yeah, really nice. Got it. Got it. And then keep this very soft. What I want to play is just kind of rolling movements with the 𝘱. So it's the movements that we were doing before in terms of going up into these patterns. So this is a kind of path of the 𝘱. But just play with the arms. They're basically going to stay in this area, in the front of the body. I'm just going to play with softening through it and play with both directions. So it's just the feeling, again, keeping them very soft. The arms are just doing a little bit of raising pattern. Once you're comfortable with it, start to play with rotating the body as well. So you're just whipping the 𝘱 around the core. And then if you start to feel that Joe starts to get pulled out, the arm starts to get pulled out, just return back to this kind of rolling motion and go all the way back to this one. Really trying to generate the feeling of the core, soft through the hands, and then let it go. Yeah, just like that. Very good. Yeah. And then the next step with that, just play with going into a grip position. So it's the same idea before we're looking at with Zengo, that sense of being able to soften the grip and then bring the grip on strongly and seal it. And just play with it here. So it's the sense, again, you can kind of wind with this up a little bit, let it roll through, and then every so often just allow the grip to fully seal. Fully seal. Fully seal. And again, play with a little bit winding motion. Play with rolling motion with the Joe rotating. Don't get dizzy, but start to play with rolling motion. And again, every so often, start to seal the grip onto it with a strong strike. Good. Good. Very good. Good. And then the next one is working with that strong grip, but the ability to keep the strike in motion, and you're basically creating a follow through with the strike. So this tends to be a little bit of not an issue with us, but it tends to be something to work on, because what we tend to do is stop and focus in that movement and basically tend to brace the body. But if I've got this feeling of draining down into the ground, this kind of feeling is not really a problem. You're just draining down and letting the Joe follow. And then with that motion, follow it with the body. And then find a second strike with this one. The easy one to work with is the 19 kind of position, where you're rolling around from the strike and then into the second strike. Working with the ski work's a bit trickier. It's a little bit more, a little bit tricky to work with the hands. But it's also possible to start to work with. But the feeling now is to go into that strike, let it drain into the ground, and then use that motion, that impulse, to start to rotate the body as well. So it's a more of a kind of a whipping motion, the strike. But it follows the same idea of releasing through the strike, and the core strong, but it's mobile in this case. Great. So, and all that kind of grounding work, balance work from the basic patterns really comes to use. Becomes useful now. Yeah. So. Very nice. Good. And last minute or so with this, just play with mixing in striking, moving. Play also with these kind of positions as well. So every so often pull up into this top position. And again, play with also striking, stopping, rolling around, striking, but also play with a little bit rolling through the block positions. Play a little with open up into the ski as well. So you're just gonna start to play with these patterns a little bit. And again, the key is that the body can rotate, roll, express the motion. You can also play with different rotation work in the sense of kind of rotating back, rolling around, make them a bit bigger, more open. And you're just exploring those different qualities now. So it's like sometimes stop in position, check the balance, sometimes strike strongly, sometimes flow through the pattern. Once you feel the body's able to connect and you go, follow it a little bit. So you feel the connection block. Okay, last practice we'll do is a kind of releasing exercise as well, but it works with tension. So if you find a shoulder width stance, you're gonna find a round about a shoulder width grip as well, and then you're just gonna, in this case, create a really strong grip, and then pull up into the toes. And what I want you to do is just play with tensioning everything. There's two ways you can tense the body. One is like pull towards the center, squeeze in, and the other is to tension out, to kind of try and split the grip and pull the body apart. And then what I want you to do is just focus on releasing. So play with coming up into tension. Take a nice deep breath and hold. Play with a little bit of tensioning in, a little bit of tensioning out. And then the key one is actually the release. Round. So you're doing it with an in-breath, tension up. Hold it a little bit at the top. Play with that tensioning. And release it with the out-breath. Let the body settle. You can also play with raising the arms a little bit with this one, just going to add a little bit more tensioning through the body. And the release is the kind of important bit in this one. But you're just going to contrast it with the tension. Very good. And then next one, as you go into the next phase, relax, just release out the body. So you start to soften the grip. Just check in with all the joints. If you feel any tension anywhere, just work that out a little bit. Maybe the hip, maybe the shoulder. And just starting to settle the body. Great, we will bow it. Domo, arigato. Alrighty, very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This was the stop button.